We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, call it. Coming to party tomorrow?
Hopefully our
Busy
what
week.
you're required to do. So. I think that's
Three busies.
Yes, ma'am.
Some stuff they want to talk about with me as soon as they're done with the presentation.
See, he's a quick learner.
I don't want to
Yeah, I think so.
have this.
Say sometimes.
Hey,
Doing?
good. Merry Christmas. Well, you never know. At my age, I might. It's just.
Jeremy, you heard from Rodney or Tammy?
Rodney will not be here today.
Mr. McBride?
Talked to Tammy today. She didn't say she wasn't coming, so I'm assuming she's going to be here. Mayor, if you need to start without her.
Let's call the meeting to order. Rodney will not be here. I don't,
Probably on the way.
Good to see you.
the invocation this evening will be given by Carl Roberts. Is Carl here? If not, I will give the invocation, and Chief, would you lead us? Too many chiefs over there. Two of you right next to one another. But we'll put you to work before you take 2 weeks vacation. Our Father, we pause this evening to say thanks. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for the moisture that we have been receiving. We ask that you be with this city council as they do their deliberations this evening. Please be with us in the days, weeks, and to come during this beautiful holiday season. Now we ask these things in your name. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I forgot to mention, Derek's going to be taking a few pictures, so go right ahead.
I would have shaved it.
We've got time. Item 4, consider approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting of November the 15th, 2016.
Move approval.
Second. Motion by David, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Oh, you want to vote, Tammy? Great. Motion carries 6-0. Item 5, awards, presentations, proclamations, and organizational business. Item 5.1, present the pet available for adoption at the city animal shelter.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Austin Free with Enid Animal Control. With me, I have Wally. Wally's about a year-old Jack Russell mix, a little bigger than a Jack Russell, probably part shepherd as well. Wally is a very good dog. Wanted to lay down on the seats over there while we're doing invocation and everything. But really good dog. I noticed him today as I was looking for the animals, and he really wanted to come out and see y'all today. So he should be available tomorrow. And if y'all come out and y'all come and see him, let's give him a home to adopt for. If he's not the one that you're looking for, we have many other dogs, many cats. Sometimes you get lucky, we got a ferret, maybe some rabbits. But come on out, take a tour. We'll take you around the area. And if you want to go ahead and spread the word as well, we do adopt. We want to make sure we want to get that out, because animal control is not about picking up animals, it's about getting them out the door as well. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
I do have a brief announcement introduction. Mayor and Commissioners, I want to make a brief introduction. Darren, would you come on up? I didn't get a chance to tell you I was going to do this, but come on up. Darren Morris is our new Marshal of the Court. And so you will see him at all of our meetings and study sessions, and he'll be at MAPC, and he'll be at court. And he's also out serving warrants that have backed up for a while because we haven't been able to get them served. And he's already been effective because I've had some phone calls and emails. So thank you. You had in, how many years with the police department? 26 years with the police department, so we're very fortunate to have you in this role now. So welcome aboard. Thank you. Okay, Mayor.
We do not have any proclamations this evening. Item 5.2, the fiscal year 2015-2016 audit update.
Microphone, I'm new at this, so.
Hey, Jake, Aaron, just want to introduce Jake, please.
Okay.
Jake, pull that mic up a little higher, please.
Yes, Mayor Commissioners, this is Jake Winkler with RSM. He's the lead on our audit, and also Donovan Thompson, and he is the senior on our, he's the one who's been here doing all the field work with us, so.
Yeah, Donovan does all the hard work. Mike and I get to mail it in pretty much. I'm just kidding. So, no, the audit's going spectacular. We are on time. We are on target. We presented a draft of the financials to Erin on Monday. So she's doing her review. You know, we prepare the statements with RSM, but, you know, obviously management's got to take ownership of those. So that's why she's going to be doing the review to make sure that everything in those statements is actually what you guys are, what is actually happening at the city of Enid. So Mike does apologize for not being able to be here tonight. He did have a conflict. So he sent the better looking part of the team out here to help you guys out. So I can entertain any questions if you guys have them. There's no findings, no deficiencies, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we've identified. Erin has done an absolutely spectacular job with us this year, responding to our requests, getting us things timely and accurately as well. So just a fantastic job. You guys are very lucky to have her.
When do we expect the audit to be presented to us?
I believe that we will have it by the end of the year. I don't know if we'll have it by the 20th.
Yeah, I think right now, I think, you know, in talking to Mike, I think the 20th is still like in play. But we will hit the 12/31 deadline. That's a definite. We might be presenting it just after year end, but I can tell you for sure the 12/31 that's not going to be an issue. We're really trying to push to get it done by the 12/20 council meeting. We'll see if that happens. So, and obviously you guys will know if it does. So,
because you'll be here reporting one way or the other.
Absolutely, you'll see me again.
That is 2 weeks from tonight.
I know. Like I said, it's not out of the question right now. We have one more review that it has to go through once Erin returns the statements with any of her comments that she might have, and once it goes through that process and we finalize everything, which we'll be able to do that in house, we should be able to get it to you guys and have it presented.
As soon as we have the final version, whether it's the 20th or sometime after that, but by the end of the year, I'll be emailing it out to all you guys, so you'll be able to review it before whatever meeting that.
Sure. Absolutely.
We appreciate the timeliness.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyone else, questions, comments?
All right, thank you all. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Item 6, administration. Item 6.1, consider a resolution creating a memorial tree and bench program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Tammy. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.2, consider a resolution amending the procedures for naming or renaming facilities owned by the city of Enid. Andrea?
As tall as he was. Most people aren't. Okay. Mayor Commissioners, this resolution simply takes out the portions of this resolution, of the former resolution, that are now going to be covered by the memorial tree and bench program. We removed the memorial stone section of this resolution, and we removed the tree plaque section of this resolution. So,
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron, second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.3, consider a resolution amending the rules for conducting meetings of the City Commission of the City of Enid, the Enid Municipal Authority, the Enid Economic Development Authority, and the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Andrea?
Mayor and Commissioners, this resolution is you've had this resolution in place for a long time, and it's been changed only a few times over the years. And we went through and we made just a few changes, some at the mayor's request and then some that I noticed that were just incorrect. We removed a section on executive sessions which would have allowed for members to attend by video conference, and that's not authorized by state law, and so we've removed that. And state law did authorize that at one time, but it's been changed so that you could attend a meeting, like the regular portion of a meeting by teleconference, but no longer can you attend an executive session. So we removed that.
Wait, we can attend by teleconference one of these meetings?
Well, it's actually video conference, but
Video
yes,
conference?
you can. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of,
You'd rather we didn't?
It is probably not worth it, right? The location where you are has to be open to the public. It has to be posted. Public has to be able to, be in and be allowed to ask questions. They have to see you, and you have to be able to see the commission, and the commission has to be able to see you. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
That seems like a lot of effort.
It is, yeah. So anytime it's been mentioned, I've discouraged it. So, I mean, we can do it. So if anybody really wants to do it, we can do it. But it's hard to do it lawfully. We also added a section on purposes of executive session, and there actually are more purposes that are allowed by state law, but just some of the ones that we use often. I went ahead and added one more, which was economic development. We changed, there was a statement in under study sessions that says when there is sufficient time, public input may be permitted, and I changed that to go with the commission's longstanding policy, which is when it's desired by the governing body, you would take public input. We also added ETA to the agenda order of business. And then we changed a couple of places. We changed what used to have 3 minutes for hearings and for public comment, and we changed that to 5 minutes, and that was the mayor's request. The last change that we made is we added in the marshal of the court, where he would be here to enforce decorum, and then also added that if the marshal is unavailable, the presiding officer, which is the mayor or the mayor pro tem, whichever it may be, may direct another law enforcement officer in attendance to perform those duties. So I don't think we've ever really had any issues with that, but. So those
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Ben.
Was that all you had, Andrea?
on that
Yes.
resolution, I think so. Did I miss anything?
No, I just thought you were trying to say something else.
Oh, no. Thank you.
Other comments? David?
So there's nothing in this in terms of provisions for ensuring or for violation of confidentiality executive session?
There is not. There is not. I think if we move forward with a commission handbook or commission rules and regulations or something like that, I think that we would consider that there. But it wasn't added here.
Kind of an oxymoron that we have a resolution that says that we have confidential communications with attorneys, with confidential matters that would interfere with the confidentiality of the business, but yet we have an executive session for which there's no teeth and no prohibition against just making it public. So it's kind of an oxymoron.
Is there a way around that?
Well, we could add that into this resolution. I didn't, I don't know yet. I don't have any direction from the commission on that yet. But if you want me to add that, I can absolutely add that.
What does state law say?
State law is silent on prohibition on discussions after an executive session.
Well, if the commission would like to table this to consider that, they could certainly take that action tonight too, right?
Yes.
I'd move to table.
My second.
There's a motion on the table already, or a motion on the, or up for consideration with a second.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead, Mayor.
Come on.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Who made the second? Ben? Further discussion? Would you read the motion, please?
The motion was to approve the resolution.
To approve the recommendation? Please cast your vote.
So it does not pass.
The motion doesn't pass because it's a tie vote.
Make a motion to table.
A motion by David to table, second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-1.
I'd like to go ahead and continue discussion on that topic, Andrea.
Absolutely.
I think it's an important component to add into that resolution.
I will do that.
If others object to that, go ahead and speak your mind.
I would like to know what, if any, state law says.
Again, state law is silent on that
Tell me
discussion.
tell me exactly what that means.
It means state law doesn't say anything. It doesn't prohibit. It doesn't allow, but it also doesn't prohibit. There is nothing in state law that says you can or cannot make public the discussions in executive session. The only thing that it does say, and there are Attorney General opinions on slightly different questions that just say the purpose is confidential communications. That's the purpose. But there's nothing that either prohibits or allows anyone to speak or to make public the discussions that were had.
But if the entire purpose of it is for confidential communications, then I would think that that pretty much says it all. I mean, I understand that there's no violation in place for that, but it says that's where you're supposed to have your confidential communications, then that, to me, means that's where your communications are supposed to be.
Yes, and with this resolution or with, a future policy, a different type of a policy in place, handbook or, whatever the commission decides, you can make that clear that discussions are not to be made public. So,
David?
I can't remember, you've told us before, but can city ordinances or charters be more restrictive than state law and be okay? And they can't be less restrictive than state law? Refresh my memory on what that rule is.
for the most part, and there are only a few exceptions, resolutions and ordinances can be more restrictive than state law. So it is up to the commission to determine that that's what you want to do. And if you want to provide for some sort of violation and punishment or whatever, you can do that.
Except that the commission can't remove a sitting commissioner.
That's true.
The commission can pass a resolution of censure. You can pass a resolution of censure on the next meeting if you wanted to, David.
To me,
But the commission cannot remove another commissioner. And although executive session does provide a confidentiality privilege, that privilege lies with the body and with the commissioners. It doesn't bind the commissioners. When state law is silent, it doesn't bind the commissioners to any confidentiality.
It's interesting that you refer to the commission as a body, but you act individually. So you need to determine which way is most appropriate for you, because what you did is not acting as a body. And that violated the confidentiality of this body and a potential development.
Aaron, I think...
Whether or not it has nothing to do with a casino or any other type of development.
Let's go back
It
to,
does have something to do with a confidentiality issue.
I think if we're going to discuss a resolution limiting the acts of commissioners in their capacity as a commission, there are a lot of individual acts taken by members of this body that we should consider, perhaps in the form of a global ethics policy similar to has been implemented in Perry and in Guthrie and in Oklahoma City and a lot of other communities that would limit a lot of what a commissioner may have done in a lot of different settings.
I don't
Furthermore,
agree with that.
Let him finish, Aaron.
Furthermore, even if we did have an ethics policy, which I think we would benefit from as a body, there is still no mechanism allowable to be passed by this body that could do anything more than slap the hand of a commissioner. I don't care what kind of ethics policy we pass, we can't remove each other. We are answerable to the elected, to the public. But an ethics policy covering a broad range of issues is worth considering, and there are a lot of communities to whom we can look for a model.
Are you through?
Yeah.
Aaron?
Ethics policy is great. There's never a bad time to talk about ethics. An ethics policy does not prevent you from going out and doing something that violates a confidentiality purpose of that meeting. So your ethics, your individual ethics versus my individual ethics may vary. What you did, I feel, is unethical. So even if we had an ethics policy, that would have violated my ethics policy or the ethics policy that I felt like we had in place. So if there's a way to put some teeth to it, Andrea, I'd like to look at that. I understand that there's no way that we can remove a sitting commissioner legally, but if there are some options to add some teeth to that language, I think it's worth looking at. Thank you.
Sounds to me like it's an issue that the state legislature did not want to mess with.
I don't
Or they
know
would have
that
by now.
It doesn't matter, we have the capability to deal with it.
I don't know that they didn't want to mess with it. I don't think that you can say it either way on that. I think that when they put the purpose in there, they probably intended that that communications in executive session be confidential, but they exempted themselves from the Open Meetings Act anyway, so, I mean, they don't have to comply. For the most part, there are some things that they have to comply with. I don't think that you can say that either way. Any other comments for the resolution when it comes back?
I didn't hear what you said.
I asked if there were any other comments for the resolution when it comes
Anyone
back.
else?
Yes. Tabled.
We need to vote to table? No.
It's already.
You did.
Good. Item 4, consider an ordinance adopting the 2015 International Residential Code.
Mayor Commissioners, this resolution, or this ordinance, I'm sorry, adopts the 2015 International Residential Code as it was adopted by the Oklahoma Uniform Building Code Commission. We are excluding all of the appendix chapters in the code itself. We are also excluding all of the rewritten appendix chapters that were written by the Building Commission. We are adopting the amendments that were adopted by the Uniform Building Code Commission. So the appendix chapters are created to be optional, and that sometimes they have more restrictive requirements. And we have typically, except for in the fire code, we have typically not adopted those. So this does not adopt any of those appendix chapters, but it does adopt the few amendments, well, actually several amendments that were made by the Oklahoma Uniform Building Code Commission. Now, those amendments are found in the code itself, and we are required by state law to either adopt that standard or a greater standard. And so this ordinance complies with state law.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Aaron,
Second.
second by Ron. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.5, consider a resolution increasing the 2016-2017 stormwater fund budget by appropriating additional funds in the amount of $85,000 to complete additional stormwater work at the Oakwood West Detention and Cherokee Detention.
Move approval.
Motion by David,
Second.
second by Aaron.
Mayor, I only had one question. I know where the Oakwood detention is, but where is the Cherokee detention?
Behind the Honda, the Honda dealership,
Okay.
the Ride Honda.
I guess, was that Cherokee Street back there or something?
Yeah, Cherokee Street, is
It
back
goes,
there.
it goes north,
Okay.
it goes
All right.
north.
I was
all the
just
way to-
curious. I didn't remember that particular title.
Further comments, questions? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.6, consider and take action with respect to a resolution of the City of Enid, Oklahoma, the city, authorizing the Enid Economic Development Authority, the authority, to assist the city in carrying out and administering the TP&L Economic Development Project Plan adopted by the city, approving and authorizing the execution of an economic development agreement by and among the authority, the city, and Transportation Partners and Logistics, LLC, approving and authorizing the execution of a security agreement by and between the authority and the city pertaining to the tax increment revenues, approving the use of assistance in development financing, declaring an emergency, and containing other provisions relating thereto.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by David, second by Aaron.
Move for emergency?
Mayor, before we.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, sorry.
Before we vote on this, I'd like to hear a little bit about exactly what this is going to involve. There's a lot of descriptive rhetoric here and verbiage.
Nate, you came prepared to talk about the TP&L project, right?
I did.
Bundle of paper there.
The floor is all yours.
Okay. Good evening. Happy to be here. This is kind of the last step in the process of the TP&L increment district that was adopted back in September. As you're aware, under the Local Development Act, in order to pass any of the benefits of a TIF district through to a private entity, you have to enter into an economic development agreement with that entity. In the case of this particular TIF, we had pretty specific parameters that were structured into that TIF district. The TIF was really designed specifically to the deal for TP&L. So from a standpoint of crafting the development agreement, most of the terms were already there. I'm happy to say there was actually really no negotiation on the agreement. It was a matter of getting it drafted. Brent Kissling forwarded along to the people at TP&L. They had no substantive comments. I need to get back from them a few clarifications on addresses and, are they a Wyoming company? I didn't know the answers to those. So, but anyways, we'll get those filled in, and there's a couple appendices that provide some detail to the project itself that would get dropped in as well. But kind of the high points of the deal, as you'll recall, under the TIF district, the TIF encompasses, we kind of divide the ad valorem that's captured into two different categories. We've got the regular personal and real property. That's basically the property that TP&L actually owns and their improvements and equipment that they've got out there at their site. And the revenue from that will effectively pay for the TIF contribution to the improvements to 66th Street that will be constructed to make it effectively an industrial boulevard capable of carrying the truck traffic. I think it'll extend all the way down to, or up to, is it Willow Road, where the elementary school is. And so that'll be a benefit for a significant amount of bus traffic that goes through that area. And that project is about a $2.5 million project. You've got a $1.2 million EDA grant, I think, that goes towards that. The TIF is putting $800,000 towards that project, and then per this agreement, TPNL is actually contributing $500,000 to that road project as well. And so that's that component. Then you have the inventory component. Normally, inventory you don't see being subject to taxation, but this is unique because you're going to have inventory that sits there for a long period of time. It acquires tax status under the law, and I mean, there are some things that do, because it's long-term, it's valued at about 20% of what its normal valuation would be. But one of the main purposes of the TIF district was to incentivize getting as much of that long-term inventory into that site as possible. 65% of the revenues that are generated will be paid as an incentive to TP&L. Ostensibly, they will pass that through as a tax rebate or whatever, however they structure their deals with the individual companies that store their inventory there in the interim while it's being waiting to go out into the field for the particular projects. And then the other 35% will go, if any is needed, to make up any shortfall on the $800,000 that's being recouped to the city. Then that would come from that, and the balance of that, which we estimate will be substantially all of it, will actually be allocated back to all the taxing jurisdictions. So effectively, it'll win for the city that it generates the road and the economic development, win for TP&L in that they can have a substantial larger book of business out there, and then a win for the taxing jurisdictions because they'll see a significant increase in attributable revenue. So. And that's what 30 pages sounds like in a couple of minutes.
How long is that TIF in place?
It's a 10-year TIF.
10?
Yeah, so it goes out, I say 10 years, I think it goes to the end of December 2026. So, but there actually won't be there's no TIF revenue realized until really January 1 will be the first assessment date. So what's out there as of that point will be collected in taxes at the end of next year, about this time next year. So it'll run for a 10-year period.
David?
That, for what it's worth, that particular state law is a unique one to Oklahoma. It is very anti-business friendly. It is very contributory to the state of Oklahoma not getting the business share that we should compared to roundabout us states. So anybody that has connections with our state legislators or has a reason to talk to them, that is a law that needs to be looked at and redone because it's very unfortunate. We're having to go to all this effort mostly because of that state law. Do you know what the name of it is, just to make it clear? Do you know what specifically that is? If you don't, that's fine.
No, I don't.
Okay. But
Wade Patterson would know it off the top of his head.
it's a bad law and we need to get it changed.
Further questions, comments? We have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Motion for the emergency from Tammy.
Second?
Second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-1. 5-1, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, but you went too quick. Why does this need an emergency like I always do? What is 30 days going to matter on this? You just gave me the answer. Thank you.
Effectively, the resolution, if the emergency is not adopted, the resolution is not effective for 30 days. Technically, the authorization to execute the documents doesn't come into place for another 30 days. I mean, it's a provision that's permitted under your charter. You have kind of a unique requirement that's somewhat unique to Enid, where publication is required on resolutions, and there's a 30-day period. That normally only applies to ordinances in most cities. I mean, the arguments that you can make is the sooner that you get the agreement in place, the greater the potential economic benefits, also the potential sooner that you can start with the road project, which is essentially a public safety project. So there's justification for it. It's an allowable procedure under the charter that you can declare an emergency on those grounds and pass it. It's not like a waiting room emergency. Somebody's bleeding.
I'm not going to make Andrea read it, but it actually doesn't include economic developments. It says for the life, safety, wealth, and health of the community or something to that effect, and that this actually doesn't apply.
Well,
It's an improper use of emergency to do this just because we need to get documents signed. Emergency is an emergency, not like a medical one. I would agree with you, but if you want to read it, Andrea, if you've got it right in front of you, I'd be happy to put it out there, but this is not covered by an emergency.
I don't have it right in front of me, but it's generally health, safety, and welfare.
Right. And it'd be a hard case to make that this falls under that, but we've already voted on past it now. I've said my piece.
That being said, we'll move on.
You made the motion, you got to.
No, I'm saying you can change the charter.
Oh.
I'm not changing my vote. You could change the charter.
Hey, that section, if you want it read, is in the resolution, right, Nate? Immediately necessary for the preservation of the public health, peace, and safety of the city and the inhabitants thereof, that the note be issued and the provision of this resolution become operative immediately, and therefore an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this resolution will be in full force and effect immediately from and after its passage and approval.
Exactly what I said.
Is there any problem with what we're doing?
No, sir.
Since we've already passed it 5-1,
I do believe that, not necessarily for economic development, but the road project itself, I do believe that can fall under an emergency, or is an authorized project for the emergency under our charter.
it is a safety issue. Just driving up and down that road's a safety problem.
That's what I hear.
If Commissioner Tim were here, he would testify.
He doesn't have to be here. We can, if you've driven that road, you understand.
I should point out too, I actually have, I hate it, that's in this section, actually in the emergency section, but I have a piece of sloppiness in the second line where it says note be issued. That should be transactions contemplated herein be undertaken. Doesn't that sound lawyerly? Anyways, it should not refer to a note. It's just the transactions contemplated. So.
Do we need to change that before we sign it?
Yeah, I mean, I can make the change. Andrea, I don't think they need to
No, they don't.
do anything formally, but I meant to point that out.
Thank you.
I got distracted by my exposition on the project itself. Apologies.
And thrilling it was.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Item 6.7, remove from the table and consider appointments to the Call Lake Sales Tax Oversight Committee.
Move, remove it from the table. Second.
We have a motion by David, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. I need to mention a couple of things before we discuss this. We passed this resolution on the 7th day of June in anticipation of the sales tax passing in August. And it was done to set up a sales tax oversight committee only for the Call Lake project. So we decided early on that we need to have this in place should the Call Lake issue pass, project passed, and it did. So that's why we are discussing tonight the appointments to the Sales Tax Oversight Committee. We do have one person here that would like to ask some questions since we did not have a study session, just a regular session, and Dan Randall has some questions that he would like to ask. He is my appointment to the Sales Tax Oversight Committee. Dan, if you have some questions, I won't be able to answer them all. We'll let Gerald point us in the right direction, if you will, please. We do have one set up in the city of Enid for their sales tax oversight and Gerald can explain that, and Ron is on that commission also. So Dan, ask your questions, and we're glad you're here.
Am I the only one who's been nominated for this committee that's in attendance tonight?
No, they're,
Okay.
you're the only one in attendance tonight, that is correct. But we have a full list of people.
I'll try to keep my comments as brief and on point as I can. Have the responsibilities of this committee been thoroughly set forth in writing?
Yes, sir. In the resolution, I can read them to you. Duties and responsibilities of the committee, cost sales tax or funding committee, oversight committee. The duties are ensuring the proceeds of the sales tax monies are spent in accordance with the ordinances governing these taxes, provide any recommendations to the mayor and board of commissioners as needed through a written report, and report to the mayor and board of commissioners with an annual progress report by June 30th of each year. Those are the three delineated duties and responsibilities in the resolution passed back in June.
Okay, I'd like to have a copy of that
Absolutely.
provided to me. Okay. Are the members of this committee covered by the city of Enid from a D&O coverage standpoint?
From, you talking about liability insurance
sir.
or something? Andrea, can you help? with
Commonly
that?
called directors and officer liability insurance.
We would have to specifically add them, is that right, to the policy?
Right, they're not covered. They're not. So any violations of state law will be violations, personal violations.
I'm not concerned as much about violations of state law. What I'm concerned about is if we, as members of this committee, oversight committee, if somebody decides that we have not provided these services properly and decides to hire an attorney, such as Mr. Ezell or one of his comrades, I don't want to have to incur the legal cost to defend myself. And I'm not taking on this high-paying job, which, as I understand, pays about the same as you commissioners get paid. Zero. So that's, I want to be adequately defended. I'm going to be 70 years old next June, and I don't want to have to be dealing with a bunch of attorneys that are coming after whatever I may have accumulated over my lifetime, as well as my wife's.
If the board, well, first off, the board can't take action. The board makes recommendations to the city commission. But if the board, in making its recommendations, makes some sort of a mistake or somebody comes after the board is a board of the city of Enid. The city of Enid is a protected entity. If you were sued in your personal capacity, that would not be covered by the city. But the board itself, actions taken on behalf of the board.
Protected by the same rules that apply to
Yes.
the city of Enid?
Yes, yeah. Now, if you committed a violation of a state law, like the Open Meeting Act, let's say you were the chair and you committed a violation of the Open Meeting Act, then that's acting outside of the scope, and that would not be covered. But the board itself is covered, and its actions and recommendations are covered by the city of Enid, because it is a board of the city of Enid.
Okay.
Is that directors and officers liability, D&O?
It's not, I don't think it's directors and officers liability. I'm not sure what it's called. Linda, do you know?
Fidelity bond for something like that.
I don't remember.
Well, some of us here, like Dr. Van Hooser and Ben, myself included, know what malpractice insurance is all about. And in my case, thanks to Enron, it was very, very expensive. And I just don't want to have to incur legal expenses defending myself from what I might consider to be frivolous lawsuits. And not only because of what, I'm a big boy, I can take care of anything that I do that is outside of the responsibilities I would have, but there's other members of this committee. And, you know, if I'm asking a question that nobody else is interested in, then I can be asked to sit down. Mr. Azale, do you have any thoughts or comments on the concerns I'm raising?
I think that you are.
And I don't want to pay you for your legal advice.
That's fair. I think you're raising a legitimate concern. If you are, that would be a bigger worry if this body had been vested with some authority to spend resources in any way. This body is purely an oversight committee, and in your capacity making recommendations to the City of Enid, it seems unlikely that you will incur any liability, assuming that you follow the basic rules of Open Meetings Act and Open Records Act. So,
And actually, staff will prepare those agendas based on input we receive from the chairperson or the committee members on, and following the resolution on what agenda items to put on there. So typically, city staff prepares the agendas and works hard to make sure all of our boards are in compliance with state law, like the open meeting law. So that burden, I think, probably rests more on city staff and myself.
Okay.
Rather than you.
I'd like to be also provided a copy of the Open Meeting Act. I may be able to get that on the website, but I would like a copy of that for my records as well.
We have an oversight committee within the city. It has a lot of history to it also, Dan.
I'm a retired partner from an accounting firm called BKD, and I worked in the tax field all my career. I didn't work in the tax audit field, did for just long enough to figure out I don't like doing audit work. But what I can tell you is that if the firm I have retired from, BKD, decides to propose on doing audit services of any kind for the City of Enid, and if the City of Enid engages BKD to become an auditor or serve in any kind of capacity providing services to the City of Enid, I would feel compelled to resign from this committee. I think it'd be a violation of, I just don't want there to be a problem in that. And I have no control over if our firm decides to go head-to-head with the gentleman that were presenting earlier. That's not something I have control over, but I'm just providing that information ahead of time. I don't want there to be any kind of appearance of conflict of interest, actual or implied.
I think that's a good point.
Okay. Will there be a separate audit performed of the expenditures of the Caw Water Lake Fund?
The city audit that we conduct, along with the audit of the authorities on an annual basis, will include the Caw Lake sales tax and any expenditures therefrom. So there will not be unless the commission wants to have something separately, there will not be a separate audit that I envision. It'll be included as part of the total city audit of everything.
Okay, okay. And as I understand, this is the largest single financial undertaking of the City of Enid, financially speaking.
I think that's correct, yes.
Is that correct?
I think that's correct. I can't think of any other project, and I doubt that there was ever a bigger one.
That's
Okay.
exactly why we set up this oversight committee.
Well, that's why I take some of these responsibilities pretty seriously. And one other thing I'd like to mention, I'm a City of Enid citizen. It's not mine. My wife and I travel pretty extensively. 5-6 months out of the year, I like to be where it's warmer than in Enid. And I don't want that to get in the way of me fulfilling my responsibilities in accepting a position on this committee. Anybody have any questions of me in that regard?
I think this only meets once or twice a year, is that correct?
Well, the schedule will be determined by the committee, but I would envision things like a probably quarterly meeting. That's what the Special Sales Tax Oversight Committee used to be, and I think it's moved to semi-annual now.
Yeah, twice a year. They
Okay.
meet in January and July.
Okay, all right.
You adopt your own rules, decide when you want
Okay.
to meet.
I'm on the Cherokee Strip Community Foundation board as well, and that pays about as well as this one does too. So, and I get back when need be for that as well. So, Is the city of Enid properly prepared for the legal services that will be required for all of the permitting, easements that may already have been done to undertake this project?
That is still ahead of us. We're preparing to move into Phase 2, which I think includes some of that, what you're talking about, research on easements and potentially some acquisition. But that's stuff for down the road. It's
Okay,
not happening
okay,
yet.
okay. I have a Sunoco pipeline easement that's in my backyard, so I have a layman's working knowledge of how easements work. What about engineering services? Does the city of Enid's own engineering staff, or are you contracting out for separate engineering services?
Well, we have our own engineering staff. Our engineering director is right there, Chris Gdansky, and we have engaged Garver to complete the Phase 1, and they'll likely be completing Phase 2 as soon as we complete the loan that's been approved and bring that contract to the commission for approval in the near future.
Okay, okay. I'm assuming, I say assuming, I'm going to ask the question. Is the city of Enid going to try to sell some of this water to communities from its source down on its way getting to city of Enid?
You know, I think that's something that we're certainly looking into. I don't have any definitive answer for that yet, but absolutely we're looking for
Okay.
folks along the way, and there have been many talks with communities. We'll probably talk more about that at our first meeting. I anticipate maybe we might have our first meeting, maybe we could potentially have it in January just to kick it off and maybe answer some of these questions
Okay.
and talk about some of those things. I think you'd be a great member of this committee with your accounting background and analytical mind. So I'm looking forward, and after having visited with you earlier, looking forward to having you on the committee.
Okay, well, I think,
Dan, some of that has already been occurring with our engineering department.
Okay.
They're coming to us.
I think the opportunity to sell water from point A, getting it down here to city of Enid, is a tremendous opportunity, since I think there's a number of communities along the way that don't have the capabilities financially to undertake a project of this nature.
I agree with you, because this is going to be a 40-year project.
Okay.
You
I
don't
think
have to serve for 40 years, I promise.
What's that?
You do not have to serve for all 40 years.
I'm talking about the municipalities needing water. They will in the next 40 years.
I'm on page 2 of my 22 pages of notes, so, no,
Your questions are good.
The City of Enid Accounting Department, all staffed up to be able to undertake this project and review the contracts, the expenditures made pursuant to the contracts, make sure, what about fraud protection, no kickbacks taking place, separate audits for purposes of determining kickbacks? Do you have a hotline contact number where if City of Enid employees see somebody who's on the take, that they can be called without Joe Blow thinking that John Doe here is the one turning them in? There's all kinds of opportunities to help people within your own accounting system, City of Enid employees, oversee how these expenditures take place and make sure it's being done legitimately, so that you don't have some bad guy that a good guy is seeing make off with, oh gosh, all kinds of material that was going to go into this pipeline project. So just a thought on that. I know the Luckenbill Company does a huge amount of work for Enid. I know Dennis well, I've known him for a long time. Are they involved in this project in some fashion?
You know, I think we've sought some advice from them, but I don't know that we have any agreements or Chris, you could speak to that.
No, sir, we do not have any formal agreements with the Luck and Bill Company. We have, while we were running up to the vote, we did ask him for a little bit of his expertise, our approach, but other than that, there's no formal agreements.
If I understand, Dennis, he's told me he's the most highly educated plumber in town.
Absolutely.
Is that correct? Okay.
The man is
Okay.
really sharp.
He was involved some, in some of the discussions that we.
Yeah. And
Among other things, any advice he has on controlling the costs on this thing, we'll be very, very interested in hearing too. But go ahead, did you have a couple?
Okay. Well, and I don't mean anything negatively against the Luck and Bills. They've been providing, I know, services to the city of Enid for, gosh, I just thank goodness that they can do what they do. On the other hand, I kind of wonder, you know, like the firm I retired from has been around for, oh, I don't know, 85, 90 years, you know. I'm not going to be around for 85 or 90 more years. You know, maybe there needs to be a backup game plan for who might. And again, I mean none of this detrimental to the Luck and Bills at all.
Well, the Luck and Bills do serve us very well. They compete for all the work they want, they get. And we had a couple of projects that recently, they're inside the city limits, they're highly visible, and they're very high priority to me and my staff and to Gerald. Competed for them and got them based on his.
Good.
Sealed.
Heads up. Okay. This is my my last question, comment. Law enforcement to protect this water pipeline, both where the water comes in, along the way, and where it goes out. And I don't consider this to be the same as like a natural gas pipeline, a crude oil pipeline, or the pipeline in my backyard with Sunoco. But on the other hand, tampering with our city of Enid water supply, I would like to know if there's been some thought given to law enforcement protecting that pipeline. And to me, it seems like it could be a multi-jurisdictional issue because there's multiple counties along the way from Caw Lake to Garfield County, eventually City of Enid. Any thoughts or comments on that?
We had the same thing with water coming from the west, Major County.
It's what, Bill?
We had the same situation with water coming from our wells, from Cleo Springs is in Major County.
And how do we deal with that?
I cannot answer.
Typically, we lock the door. In some cases, we fence it. We put up signs that say keep out. And we're certainly, in this day and age, becoming more and more cognizant of the possibility of sabotage, terrorism, those kind of things. So we will absolutely be including that as part of the project. This is a project that's going to take 6 to 7 years to get to fruition from right now, whenever we will award the second contract. So.
And when we did work on our site selection for the intake at the lake site, security and of the intake structure and all the equipment was a strong part of that.
Yeah, yeah. I own a few water stocks, and it's incredible the amount of effort and plans that have to go into place to oversee that, protect it, et cetera. And some communities are just not capable of providing all of the resources we're talking about here.
And most of the water line between here and there will be 4, 5, 6 feet underground or more.
Yeah, okay, okay. Gentlemen, ma'am, are there any questions that I should have asked?
You've come up with a lot of thought-provoking questions. We appreciate that. Look forward to your service on this committee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We need to list our appointments by ward and by the mayor, and I think we'll start out with Ron. Go 1 through 6.
Yes, Mayor, Ward 1 is going to be represented by Mr. Wade Patterson.
Ward 2 will be Jason Turnbow.
Ward 3, Frank Baker.
Wade 4, Rodney Tim's appointment will be Alan Klepper.
Ward 5 is Jeff Abbott.
In Ward 6, I've nominated Mike Barnhouse from CFO for Klondike Trucking.
Mayor's appointment will be Dan Randall.
Move we accept those appointments.
Motion by David to move those, to appoint those 7.
Second?
By Ron. Further discussion. Please cast your vote.
You need to figure out.
We're going to do that next.
Okay.
Motion carries 6-0. Now, the city commission has to appoint a city commissioner to the oversight committee. Do we have a motion?
Does anybody want to do that?
My motion would be David Van Hooser.
I would second that motion.
Motion is second. Further discussion. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Congratulations, David. Ron will give you all the coaching you need. Item 7, consent items.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben to approve,
Second.
second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. So, item 8, we will now recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. All the trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority are in attendance except for Rodney. Rodney Tim is absent. Item 10, the Enid Municipal Authority special meeting is now in session. Item 10.1, approval of claims in the amount of $322,670.38.
So moved.
Motion by Ben.
Second?
Second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. We will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. All of the trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority special meeting are in attendance except for Rodney Tim. Item 13, the Enid Economic Development Authority special meeting is now in session. Item 13.1, consider and take action with respect to a resolution accepting responsibilities as designated to the Enid Economic Development Authority, the authority, by the City of Enid, Oklahoma, the city, pursuant to TPNL Economic Development Project Plan adopted by the city, approving and authorizing the execution of an economic development agreement by and among the authority, the city, and Transportation Partners and Logistics, LLC, approving and authorizing the execution of a security agreement by and between the authority and the city pertaining to the tax increment revenues, approving the use of assistance in development financing, and containing other provisions relating thereto.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron,
Second?
second by Ben. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 13.2, approval of claims in the amount of $57,078.45.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by David. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 14, we will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Item 15, all the trustees of the Enid Public Transportation Authority special meeting are in attendance except for Rodney Tim. Rodney is absent. Item 16, the Enid Public Transportation Authority special meeting is now in process. Item 16.1, approval of claims in the amount of $11,359.04.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by David, second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 17, we will now adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Under item 18, public comments, we have one person signed up.
You won't be here.
Diane? Again, we have a 5-minute time limit. I'll read what I did last time before we passed our resolution tonight. We'll be implementing a 5-minute time limit. Please condense your thought. Please don't use profanity, as children may be watching the city council meetings on the Enid television network. You will be advised at the end of start all over. You will be advised at the end of 1 minute that you have 1 minute to finish your comments. Your name and address, please.
Diane Levesque, 1324 West Stoke Avenue, and with regards to ethics and confidentiality, it is, of course, an abuse of confidentiality to use the city attorney for a personal matter, to call the police on something that's personal. And the city attorney apparently has learned since then that there is supposed to be a bright line between what's city business and personal business. It's also an abuse of confidentiality when the city inserts itself to purchase property when in an open free market it should be the business in direct negotiation with the property owner. So by that, it looks like the city continues to wage war on property owners here in Enid. But let me get this straight about this South Government Springs Park. That land was purchased with stormwater money? I'm guessing it's because there is a stream that runs through it, and what goes over there is, in fact, stormwater. So what's the brilliant idea here? Building a casino to plug up your storm drainage, or... Oh, I've got it. I can picture it now. You've got yourself a showboat like what they have on the Mississippi River, and every time you have a storm flooding like that, you have a floating riverboat casino. And while it's dry, it'll look nice and pretty up on stilts, right? And there's a correctional facility in the neighborhood. What could possibly go wrong? Just curious. I mean, this is a bright idea of the Einstein you just appointed to oversee the CAW money. Well, I didn't name names, but we know whose idea it was, don't we? Anyway, competency is an issue, and I would say that I thank the dear Lord that I will never end up on his operating table, or at least, dear Lord,
Mr. Mayor?
see to it that I don't.
We cannot comment, but his comments are well taken.
Very good. And all of you people who are running for re-election, we all know that you like to party on city money, on what you call retreats, and I bet you that's why you want to get elected. So, dear voter, clean house. You let this place get filthy.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Ron. Please cast your vote.
We still got quorum. We made it.
Motion carries 4-0. We are adjourned.
We can adjourn without a quorum? Okay.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission meeting. If you have any questions or comments, visit our website at enid.org.